It happens usually on a Friday night. The world is gearing up. The texts are flying. Where are we going? Who's coming? And you are standing in your kitchen, watching the sun go down, and you feel a profound, delicious stillness. You aren't sad that you aren't out there. You are relieved. To the extrovert, an empty apartment is a vacuum that must be filled. To you, it is a lung that is finally inflating. You aren't hiding from the world. You are simply returning to your primary relationship, the one you have with yourself. While others define themselves by who they are with, you define yourself by who you are when no one is watching. You are not lonely. You are alone. And there is a universe of difference between the two. To the social butterflies, the people who measure their worth by their proximity to others, your behavior is a tragedy. They look at you sitting by yourself in a cafe or walking alone in the park, and they feel a pang of pity. They assume you are waiting for someone. They assume you have been rejected. They ask, "Don't you want to bring a friend?" They cannot conceive of a reality where the company of the self is sufficient. They equate solitude with loneliness. They do not understand that for you, other people are often the source of loneliness. Because when you are with them, you have to leave yourself behind. They do not see that you are actually having a vibrant, chaotic, fascinating conversation. It just happens to be taking place entirely inside your own head. Today, we are going to dismantle the myth of the loner. We are going to move beyond the stereotypes of the sad recluse and the antisocial hermit. We will explore the psychology of autonomy, the neuroscience of the default mode network, and the profound difference between social hunger and social saturation. We will examine why your brain perceives social interaction as a high-cost performance and solitude as a low-cost restoration. We will validate why you travel alone, why you eat alone, and why the best part of your day is the moment the last person leaves the room. If you have ever felt completely whole while sitting in an empty room, this analysis is for you. Let's begin by validating the physical reality of the performance tax. We need to redefine what socializing is for you. For the extrovert, socializing is an energy exchange where they gain charge. For you, socializing is a performance. When you are with others, you are constantly running a background application called the social mask. You are monitoring your facial expressions. You are filtering your thoughts. You are laughing at jokes that aren't funny. You are nodding to show you are listening. This is emotional labor. It consumes glucose. It tightens your muscles. It requires high-level cognitive processing. When you are alone, the mask falls off. Your face relaxes into its natural state, which others might call resting bitch face, but you call neutral. Your shoulders drop. You stop projecting. The relief you feel when you are alone is the physical relief of taking off a tight shoe. You prefer being alone not because you hate people, but because you love the feeling of unmonitored existence. You want the freedom to be ugly, to be weird, to be silent, to scratch an itch, to stare at a wall without the burden of being perceived. This brings us to the hidden pattern, the distinction between external regulation and internal regulation. Most people are externally regulated. They need the feedback of the group to know how they feel. Is this fun? Are we having fun? They need a sounding board to process their emotions. They need to talk it out. You are internally regulated. You possess a self-contained emotional ecosystem. When something happens, you don't need to call 3 friends to know how you feel about it. You know how you feel. In fact, bringing other people into the process often confuses you. Their opinions muddy your water. You prefer being alone because it preserves the clarity of your own signal. You are a self-sourcing individual. You source your entertainment, your comfort, and your validation from within. This makes you incredibly resilient, but it also makes you appear aloof to those who rely on the group for survival. They are playing a multiplayer game. You are playing a single-player campaign with a very rich storyline. Let's expand on the deep psychological expansion of the rich inner world. Why aren't you bored? This is the question that baffles the extrovert. What do you do all day by yourself? They assume that if there is no external stimulation, there is nothing happening. But for the person who prefers solitude, the mind is a carnival. You have what psychologists call a high need for cognition and a rich, fantasy-prone personality. You are constantly running simulations, debating philosophy, replaying memories, and constructing future scenarios. Your default mode network, the part of the brain responsible for daydreaming and self-reflection, is highly active. When you are alone, you aren't doing nothing. You are engaging in deep processing. External noise interrupts this processing. When someone walks into the room and starts talking about the weather, it feels like they just walked onto a movie set and interrupted the filming of a masterpiece. You prefer being alone because the world inside your head is often more interesting, more complex, and more satisfying than the world outside. You are not rejecting reality. You are protecting your own version of it. But this preference puts you at odds with a society built on compulsory sociality. We must confront the adult consequences. Society views the desire for solitude as a pathology. If a child plays alone, teachers worry. He's not socializing. If an adult eats alone, waiters pity them. Just one? You are constantly fighting the narrative that you are sad. People try to fix you. They invite you out because they think you are lonely. When you decline, they think you are depressed. This creates a dynamic where you have to perform happiness just to prove you are okay. You have to be extra cheerful when you do see people, just to get them off your back. See? I'm fine. I'm happy. This is exhausting. You are fighting the extrovert ideal, the cultural belief that the good life is the crowded life. You look at the beer commercials with 20 people laughing on a beach, and you feel nothing but anxiety. You wonder, is there something wrong with me because I want to be the person reading a book in the lighthouse instead? There's also the networking penalty. The world runs on relationships. It's not what you know, it's who you know. This adage is the bane of your existence. You know you should network. You know you should go to the mixer. But the transactional nature of small talk makes your skin crawl. You hate the schmooze. You prefer meritocracy. You want your work to speak for itself. But often, the loud, mediocre person gets the promotion because they went to happy hour. This creates a sense of systemic unfairness. You feel like you are being punished for your nature. You feel like you have to choose between professional success, which requires socializing, and personal sanity, which requires solitude. You often choose sanity and then watch your career stagnate while the social butterflies soar. This leads to the internal conflict recognition. You wrestle with the fear of misanthropy. You catch yourself getting annoyed at the mere presence of others, the sound of chewing, the sound of a loud laugh, the sound of a phone notification. You think, do I hate people? Am I becoming a curmudgeon? Am I incapable of love? This is the darkest fear, the fear of unlovability. You worry that your need for space makes you a bad partner, a bad parent, a bad friend. You see people who can be around others 24/7, the Velcro people, and you wonder how they do it. You worry that you are cold. But the truth is, you aren't cold. You are selectively warm. You have a limited amount of heat. If you spread it over 100 people, everyone gets a lukewarm version of you. If you save it for yourself and 2 others, you are a furnace. But society judges the spread, not the intensity. We also need to look at the freedom versus intimacy paradox. You crave intimacy. You want to be known, but you crave freedom more. And every relationship is a tax on freedom. Every relationship involves compromise. It involves explaining where you are. It involves coordinating schedules. For the person who loves being alone, this coordination feels like a cage. You love the idea of a partner, but the reality of a partner in your space, breathing, talking, moving things, triggers your territorial instinct. You find yourself sabotaging relationships when they get too close. You push people away, not because you don't love them, but because you are suffocating. You are trying to solve the impossible equation. How do I have deep connection without losing my absolute autonomy? Let's pause the self-judgment. We need to validate the solitude competence. Most people are terrified of being alone because they are terrified of themselves. If they sit in a room alone for 10 minutes, the demons come out. The anxiety spikes. The self-loathing starts. They use people as a distraction from their own psyche. You have achieved solitude competence. You can sit with your demons and have tea with them. You have faced yourself. You know who you are. This is a profound strength. You are not needy. You do not use people as emotional crutches. When you choose to spend time with someone, it is a pure choice. It is not born of desperation. It is born of genuine interest. That is the highest compliment you can pay someone. I am perfectly happy alone, but I am choosing to be with you. That weighs more than the person who is with you because they can't stand to be alone. In the next part, we are going to explore the art of the solo date. We will look at why you love going to the movies alone. We will discuss the invisibility cloak of headphones. We will explore the concept of parallel play as the ideal relationship model. And we will move from the defense of your lifestyle to the celebration of your independence. We have established that your solitude is not a hole you are stuck in, but a fortress you have built. Now, we must examine the specific behaviors that sustain this lifestyle. We need to look at how you navigate a public world as a private entity. This brings us to the art of the solo date. To the average person, going to the movies alone is an act of desperation. To you, it is the ultimate luxury. Think about the mechanics of seeing a movie with a friend. You are constantly triangulating. You are watching the movie, but you are also simulating their reaction. Are they bored? Did they get that joke? Is this too violent for them? You are splitting your attention. When you go alone, you are engaged in pure consumption. There is no social latency. The art goes directly from the screen to your brain without being filtered through someone else's opinion. You can cry without hiding it. You can leave if it sucks. You can stay through the credits. You are reclaiming the primary experience. When you share an experience, it becomes a joint experience. It changes the texture. You prefer being alone because you want to taste the world raw without the condiment of someone else's commentary. This extends to the table for one dynamic. Eating alone in a restaurant is the ultimate test of confidence. Society treats the solo diner as a pariah. They try to hide you by the kitchen door. They rush you. But you know the secret: gastronomic meditation. When you eat with others, the food is secondary to the conversation. You eat mechanically. You miss the nuance. When you eat alone, the food is the protagonist. You can read your book. You can people watch. You can simply taste. You are not lonely. You are occupied. You are dating yourself. And you are a fantastic date because you let yourself order exactly what you want. You don't talk with your mouth full, and you don't make yourself split the bill. Now, let's talk about your most important tool, the headphones. For the person who prefers being alone, headphones are not an audio device. They are a do not disturb sign. They are acoustic fencing. You wear them even when nothing is playing. Why? Because they signal to the world, I am not available. They are a physical barrier against the stop and chat. The stop and chat is your nemesis. It is the unplanned, low-value interaction that drains your battery. Headphones allow you to move through public spaces inside a private bubble. They give you the soundtrack to your own life. When you walk down the street with your music, you are the main character in your own movie. This is a form of dissociative coping. You are physically present, but mentally transported. You prefer this state because reality is often gritty, loud, and boring. Your internal soundtrack makes the world look better. It adds a layer of gloss to the mundane. This preference for the internal world heavily influences your relationship style. We need to talk about parallel play. This is a concept from child development. Toddlers often play alongside each other rather than with each other. For the adult who loves solitude, parallel play is the holy grail of intimacy. You want a partner who can sit on the other end of the couch, reading their book while you read yours. No talking, no entertaining, just shared presence. This is alone together. Most people need face-to-face interaction to feel connected. You prefer side-by-side interaction. You are like cats. Dogs need to be in your face, licking you, demanding attention. Cats are happy just being in the same room. They acknowledge you with a slow blink and then go back to napping. You are looking for a cat partner. The conflict arises when you date a dog partner. They feel ignored by your silence. They ask, "What are you thinking?" And you want to scream, "I am thinking about my book. Stop interrupting the download." You need to explain that your silence is a sign of comfort, not disinterest. If you didn't like them, you would leave the room. The fact that you are staying in the room is the compliment. This leads to the separate bedrooms conversation. Social stigma says that if a couple sleeps apart, the marriage is dead. You know that if a couple sleeps apart, the marriage might actually be saved. You value sleep autonomy. Sleep is your most vulnerable state. It is the ultimate solitude. Sharing a bed means sharing body heat, movement, and snoring. It is a high stimulus environment. For the solitude lover, the sleep divorce, or simpler, separate blankets, is a valid survival strategy. You need to decompress. You need a few hours where no one is touching you. This is tactile reset. If you don't get this reset, you wake up irritable. You wake up with touch out. Defending your right to your own sleep space is defending your sanity. We also need to look at the travel drifter archetype. You are the person who loves to travel alone. Why? Because group travel is a series of negotiations. Where should we eat? What time should we wake up? I'm tired. Group travel is democracy. Solo travel is fascism, and you are the dictator. You wake up when you want, you eat what you want. If you want to spend 4 hours in a weird museum looking at spoons, you do it. You don't have to manage anyone's energy but your own. This is total agency. There is a specific joy in being a stranger in a strange land. When you travel alone, you are anonymous. No one knows your history. No one expects you to be you. You can reinvent yourself for a day. You can be the mysterious stranger in the cafe. This anonymity is addictive. It frees you from the weight of your own identity. But we must confront the friendship maintenance issue. Your friends probably think you are low effort. You don't text back immediately. You rarely initiate plans. This isn't because you don't care. It's because you don't have object permanence for people. Out of sight, out of mind. When you are alone, you are so fully immersed in your world that you forget the outside world exists. Then you look at your phone and realize it's been 3 months since you spoke to your best friend. You feel guilty. But the idea of a catch-up call feels like a chore. The catch-up is the enemy. It is a recitation of facts. How's work? How's the family? You prefer contextual hanging out. You would rather just send a meme that says, "This is us," than spend 20 minutes on the phone. The meme is efficient. It conveys, "I am thinking of you," without requiring a temporal sacrifice. You need friends who understand low frequency, high fidelity communication. You might not talk for months, but when you do, you talk for 4 hours about the meaning of life. That is your rhythm. Let's explore the creative necessity. You suspect that your solitude is the source of your talent, and you are right. Creativity requires the incubation period. Ideas are shy animals. They don't come out when there is noise. They don't come out when you are constantly checking your email. They need the silence of the empty room to emerge. You protect your solitude because you are protecting your muse. If you are constantly surrounded by people, you are constantly absorbing their ideas, their energy, their opinions. You become a collage of other people. Solitude allows you to be an original. It allows you to hear the unique frequency of your own mind. This is why you get cranky when you haven't had alone time. You feel like you are losing your edge. You feel like you are becoming generic. You need the solitude to sharpen your blade. However, there is a danger zone. The danger is the inertia of isolation. Staying home alone is physics. An object at rest stays at rest. The more you stay alone, the harder it is to leave. Your social skills atrophy. You start to find normal interactions cringy or annoying. You start to develop confirmation bias. You tell yourself, people are the worst. And because you avoid people, you never have the positive interactions that disprove that theory. You spiral into cynicism. You have to watch out for the moment when solitude turns into avoidance. Solitude is, I am choosing to be alone because I enjoy it. Avoidance is, I am staying alone because I am afraid of the world. You must ensure you are running toward yourself, not away from others. This brings us to the pet factor. Why do you prefer animals to humans? Because animals offer non-judgmental presence. A dog doesn't care if you haven't showered. A cat doesn't care if you lost your job. They just exist. They provide biofeedback, warmth, heartbeat, breath, without social demand. They anchor you to the physical world so you don't float away into your own head completely. Talking to your pet is the perfect form of conversation for you. You can vocalize your thoughts, but you don't have to listen to a reply. It is the ultimate sounding board. For the person who loves being alone, a pet is often the primary significant other. And there is no shame in that. They are the perfect roommates. In the next part, we will move to the integration. We will look at how to explain your need for space without hurting people's feelings. We will explore the concept of scheduled solitude, putting me time on the calendar as a non-negotiable appointment. We will discuss how to thrive in a workplace that demands collaboration, the headphones on signal. And we will close with the ultimate truth, that your ability to be alone is not a weakness, but the prerequisite for true love. You cannot belong to anyone else until you belong to yourself. We have arrived at the final frontier, integration. We have validated that your solitude is a biological necessity and a psychological fortress. But unless you plan to move to a lighthouse on a remote rock, you still have to exist in a world teeming with people. You have to work, you have to maintain friendships, and you have to navigate family obligations. The challenge now is operationalizing your nature. How do you protect your solitude without burning bridges? How do you maintain your boundaries without becoming a hermit? The goal is to move from defensive solitude, hiding from the world, to strategic solitude, curating your interaction with the world. This brings us to the protocol of the calendar. For the person who loves being alone, spontaneity is the enemy. When someone says, let's grab dinner tonight, your brain goes into panic mode. You haven't mentally prepared. You haven't allocated the energy. You must become the master of time blocking. You treat your solitude like a medical appointment. You literally write meeting with myself on your calendar from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. When someone asks if you are free, you say, I have a commitment at that time. You do not explain that the commitment is eating pasta and watching a documentary about fungi. If you explain it, they will try to negotiate. Oh, you can do that later. You cannot do it later. The recharge is the priority. By treating your alone time as a non-negotiable appointment, you signal to yourself and the world that your peace is a priority, not a leftover scrap. You stop giving the world your prime time and only giving yourself the exhausted time. You flip the script. You pay yourself first. This leads to the workplace survival guide. The modern workplace is an assault on the solitary soul. The open office plan was designed by extroverts for extroverts. It is a factory of interruptions. You must deploy the signal flag system. Your headphones are your flag. If you are wearing big, over-ear, noise-canceling headphones, that means deep work mode. You must train your colleagues. If they tap you on the shoulder for a non-emergency, you gently correct them. I'm in a deep focus block right now. Can you slack me and I'll get to it in an hour? You are framing your solitude as productivity. Corporate culture worships productivity. If you frame your need for silence as, I am trying to make money for the company, they will respect it. If you frame it as, I hate talking to you, they will resent it. Use the capitalist logic against them. I need quiet to deliver excellence. No boss can argue with that. We must also perfect the re-entry protocol. This is a specific behavior for those who live with partners or family. The most dangerous moment of the day is the transition from work to home. You have used up your social battery at the office, you are at 0%, you walk through the door, and your partner, kids, roommate immediately want to engage. How was your day? Look at this. Can you help me? You snap, you explode. This is transition failure. You need an airlock. You need the driveway sit. This is the behavior where you pull into your driveway or parking spot and you just sit there. The car is off. The radio is off. You sit in the silence for 10 minutes. You're allowing your nervous system to regulate. You are shifting gears from employee to human. Or if you take the train, you walk around the block once before entering your building. You need to explain this to your family. I need 15 minutes of decompression time when I get home so I can be a good partner to you. If I don't get it, I will be a grump. It's not about you. It's about the transition. Once they understand that the 15 minutes of silence buys them 4 hours of a happy partner, they will gladly give you the space. This brings us to the language of boundaries. You need scripts. You need to know how to say no without saying, I don't like you. The behavior of the solitary person often drifts into ghosting because you don't know how to decline. You ignore the text because the no feels heavy. You need the sandwich rejection. Top bun, validation. I love that you invited me. Thank you. Meet the no, I've had a massive week and I'm totally drained, so I'm going to stay in and recharge this weekend. Bottom bun, the future. Let's look at dates for next month when I'm back online. Analyze this behavior. You are validating the friendship. You are owning your energy. I'm drained. You are offering a future alternative. So it's not a permanent rejection. This removes the guilt. You stop being the flake and start being the planner. People respect a firm no more than a wishy-washy. Maybe that turns into a last-minute cancellation. Your reliability is worth more than your constant presence. We also need to look at the social sniper concept again. You cannot attend every event, so you must choose the high-yield events. Go to the wedding, skip the bachelor party, go to the birthday dinner, skip the random Tuesday drinks. You preserve your energy for the moments that create core memories. When you are there, be there. Put the phone away. Look people in the eye. Ask deep questions. Be the most present person in the room. Because you have saved your energy, you have a supercharged attention span. You can listen better than anyone else. You can make people feel seen. You use your solitude to generate the fuel for these moments of intense connection. You are not antisocial. You are selectively social. You are an artisan of interaction. You prefer quality over quantity. Now, let's address the fear of missing out. FOMO. The internet is a FOMO machine. You see the photos of the party you skipped. Everyone looks happy. You feel a pang. Did I make a mistake? You need to cultivate JOMO, the joy of missing out. You need to visualize the reality of the event, not the Instagram version. The Instagram version is smiles and toasts. The reality version is standing in line for the bathroom, shouting over bad music, paying $15 for a drink, your feet hurting. You are at home, in your soft pants, eating exactly what you want, reading a book that expands your mind. You are winning. You have to trust your own hedonic calculus. You know what makes you happy. Do not let the world gaslight you into thinking that fun only looks like a crowded room. Fun can look like a silent room, a cup of tea, and a cat. That is valid. That is legitimate. This leads to the solitude as a service. We need to reframe your behavior as a gift to the world. In a world that is reactive, loud, and impulsive, you are the counterweight. You are the one who stops and thinks. You are the one who isn't swept up in the mob mentality. Because you spend time alone, you have original thoughts. You aren't just regurgitating what you heard on the news or Twitter. You have processed the data yourself. When you speak, you bring a unique perspective. You bring the view from the cave. Society needs the cave dwellers. We need the people who step back, look at the big picture, and say, wait a minute, does this make sense? Your solitude makes you wise. Your distance gives you perspective. Do not hoard that perspective. Share it. Write. Create. Speak. Let the fruits of your solitude feed the world. We must also confront the loneliness versus solitude Venn diagram. Solitude is, I am alone and I feel full. Loneliness is, I am alone and I feel empty. Or worse, I am with people and I feel empty. The behavior of the person who prefers being alone is a defense against loneliness. By becoming your own best friend, you ensure you are never truly lonely. You are always in good company. You have a rich inner dialogue. You are entertained by your own mind. This is self-possession. It is the ultimate freedom. If you need others to be happy, you are a slave to their schedule, their mood, and their availability. If you can be happy alone, you are sovereign. You hold the keys to your own joy. Finally, we arrive at the grounded, hopeful closure. What is the ultimate truth of this behavior? It is that solitude is the prerequisite for love. The poet Rilke defined love as two solitudes that protect and border and greet each other. You cannot truly love someone if you are using them to fill a void in yourself. That is not love. That is consumption. That is using a person as a pacifier. But if you are whole, if you are happy alone, then your love is a gift. You are not asking them to complete you. You are asking them to witness you. You are bringing two full cups to the table, not two half-empty ones. So the next time you decline an invite to stay home, do not feel guilty. Do not feel broken. Feel whole. Feel the power of your own presence. Light the candle. Open the book. Sit in the silence. You are doing the most important work a human can do. You are building a relationship with the only person you will be with for every second of your entire life. Yourself. Make that relationship a good one. Make that internal world a beautiful place to live. Because when the world gets loud and crazy and hard, you always have a place to go. You have you, and you are enough.